according to where the previous homeowner or tenant had left some nails in the wall? Or do you place it strategically? And do you choose art that speaks to you? Because that's kind of what it's all about. Danielle is back now to show us how to get it right. We know you're an art lover. And what's lovely is if you can give it the prominence it deserves. And there's several different ways to do that. So you have a few tips for us.
Right, because all of this art can stand on its own, but when it means something to you, you might want to celebrate it a bit more so that it's got that impact. So one of the things that you can do, if you're just starting your collection, or maybe you've just got a couple of smaller pieces and you've got a big wall, you can group them together so that they've got the weight to kind of carry the attention of the room. So I love to create a gallery wall. And these pieces actually were all printed by Poster Jack. So I found the images on Shutterstock, except for the ancestor pictures, which belong to myself and my husband.
Those are yours for real people in your life. That's amazing.
I love that. In a gallery, like if you've got something that keeps it personal, it keeps the story meaningful to you.
It totally does.
So yeah, and one of the things about Poster Jack is that they print not just the framed photos, which are gorgeous, but also they print on acrylic, they print on wood. So it's nice to mix things up in a gallery to keep it interesting. And there's so many ways to do it. I like to do it by picking like my favorite piece or my most important piece, and I start with that, and then I add on to it everything in relation to the first one. So for example, I've kept that 3.5 distance, 3.5 inches between the two. Both of these relate to that one. And so you've got the symmetry that the eye is drawn to, but then you've got more of that organic kind of line around the outside of it. And then it has kind of a more random feel than the pre-made grids that you can get now for gallery walls.
Yeah, there's something to me very aesthetically pleasing about this. It's hard to nail it. So you have to keep doing it and then stepping back and seeing if that works for you.
And shifting it around.
And shifting it around.
Like I said, if you start with kind of your favorite piece, build on from there in relation to that, and then you can keep going. And I kept all of them, again, 3.5 inches apart vertically, but then I've got some random height going around.
That's lovely. It looks great. What do you guys think? Isn't that nice? Really good. Okay, so tip number one, group them together. Group them together. Tip number two.
Tip number two.
This is gorgeous.
Yes. Tip number two is that you create a relationship with something else in the room. In this case, a piece of furniture. This is a piece from Home Société, actually. And this is a gorgeous portrait done by Canadian artist Anya Mielnizik. And I love her pictures of women. I love portraits. They're all over my home. And it's super fun when you've got like an interesting hue to maybe pick it up with a piece of furniture. And so this relates to it both in the color but also in the placement. It's just so with this little vignette. And now this is, you know, this has double the impact than if you were just hang the picture by itself.
You created a whole little moment here. And in this way, you're respecting the art. And I think that's really lovely. Every time you come here and open up a book, you're respecting the art, you're paying homage to it. So we have a couple more tips. Let's go show them. Another beautiful piece. And it's been given some prominence. So let's talk about the artist and then how you decided to display it.
So this is a pen sketch by Canadian artist Ningya Cook TV. And she's a very high-profile Canadian artist. And her work often depicts the myths and legends of Inuit culture. And this, for example, is Sedna, the goddess of the sea. And for this one, like, there's such depth to the picture, and because it's a pen sketch, it's not this, you know, high contrast, big graphic, bold piece. Whatever I did to the display, I wanted it to be subtle. I didn't want to take away from the actual piece. So that's where you have to assess how each piece reads and what you want to do with it. So you can create a molded panel to kind of just increase the visual attention around the piece.
It's beautiful. It's done subtly, but it still has impact.
It absolutely does. And that, a lot of the indigenous art, Inuit art, it has such depth and such soul. You know, you want to just kind of celebrate that.
Well, there are a lot of great pieces that you've pulled from for this segment, and I like it because it's very representative of a lot of different stories, and they're diverse stories. And I think we tend to sometimes get a bit stuck with our art purchasing because what we're going to see in traditional galleries is the same artists over and over again. It's hard to get those other diverse stories. So
It's true.
with that being said, I'd
Yes.
love to go to our fourth tip, and we can
Yes.
talk a little bit more about representation in art. But
Yes.
oh my goodness,
I know.
it is stunning.
I know. I mean, and this needs nothing to like amplify the effect, obviously, but it is super fun sometimes to bring in a moody, bold color
Yes.
if that's in the piece, because it just, again, makes everything more special. This belongs to a collector, and I've actually tried to
Wow.
reproduce the setting that she has it in her home.
Okay.
Because, you know, yeah, it is just absolutely striking. And this is a piece by Gordon Shadrach.
Yes.
And he's a Canadian artist. His work has been shown at the ROM, the Musée des Beaux-Arts. And this is from his Historical Dandies collection. And in this, he inserts black men into historical wear as a way of reimagining history and kind of making it, you know, more friendly to marginalized people. And, you know, this work, I mean, I'm speechless.
You're speechless. Listen, I know you're a big fan. I am a big fan as well. I can't believe the collector let you take this out of her house.
I know.
That is phenomenal, and that means she
Thank
trusts you a
her.
lot. But we
Yes.
do have a photo of it in situ, so you can
Yes.
see how it looks. And the boldness of having that beautiful dark wall behind it. Like, you are giving this art the significance it deserves.
Absolutely.
Above the mantle. You don't need
Absolutely.
anything else there.
True,
And I think that's lovely.
And it's got such historical significance too, because these antique frames that many of Gordon's pieces are done in, they just add that weight.
They
and
do.
it's really such a special collection.
So since we're talking about representation, I'd love to
Yes.
see a couple of pictures from your own house.
Well, it's funny because, you know, it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I really started sort of appreciating. I'm of mixed heritage. My mother's
Yes.
side is Asian, my father's side English-Irish, and then I just found myself drawn to these images of people that looked like my mother or my grandmother. And so I, for one, love to see representation in
Beautiful.
art and see more diverse stories being told in cinema, TV, in art.
Yeah, we want all the stories, right? From
Absolutely.
all of the people. So I think this is lovely. Thank you for the lesson. Great lesson.